Check. Got a little bit of my decaf coffee here. Just gonna sip on this. We're gonna get right into the video talking about life comes in seasons. You need to prioritize. Prioritization is super important. Everybody talks about you got to get your priorities right, and it's really important to prioritize. But how many people actually prioritize? Now, what I've kind of learned is the fundamentals are literally so important. Mastering the basics are so important. And everybody knows this, but we just need to be reminded. And it kind of makes you wonder that if everybody knows this stuff, how come they're not where they want to be? It's because people don't actually do the basics. They don't actually master the basics. They don't actually prioritize. So we know a lot of this stuff is good for us, but we just don't do it. And that includes myself some of the times, because now that I'm aware of this stuff and I'm really making a hard effort to do it, I'm finding that I'm able to do it a lot more than at least I used to, right? But yeah, like you hear about people talking about common sense and getting your priorities right. But I don't know, just because everybody knows that these things exist, that they actually do them. But anyways, this video came to me because I recently got so busy during my master's program. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna be a perfusionist for those of you who know what that is. It's not very popular. It's a hidden gem in the healthcare field. So I've been prepping for exams, or I was prepping for exams in December, and I took a break from making YouTube videos. It just got really busy. Honestly, I really could have kept up with some, but I learned that the mistake I made was trying to keep up my old schedule in a different season of my life. What does that even mean? So I felt like if I couldn't make the 2 to 3 videos a week that I wanted to originally keep doing, that it wasn't enough to continue making videos at all. I didn't fully feel that way. I was just kind of like, what I should have done, first of all, is I should have shifted my goal to just working on YouTube, not so much putting out 3 videos a week. And if that meant 1 video a week or every other week, then that should have been fine. I kind of lost sight, and for most of it, it was really just being like too tired. That's a bad excuse, but I could have eliminated distractions. I'm gonna improve on this, obviously. Like there's room for all of us to improve, and that definitely includes myself. Like I said, you can know about a lot of these things, but it's one thing to actually do them. So it's a weird thing though to get set up, get a camera set up, get your editing software set up, and just work on something for 30 minutes, and then having to switch gears and do something else, or go to bed or whatever. But really, if you were to do that, and you were to do that a few times a week, other than nothing, at the end of a busy exam season or a busy time period in your life, whether that's a couple of weeks, a couple of months, that's a lot of time that's added up, and you can make quite a bit of progress on something that you otherwise wouldn't if you didn't do that 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. So it's really a mental hurdle that you have to get over, where that small amount of time, it feels like it's not going to make any difference, and it feels weird to just get set up and work on something for 20-30 minutes and then just put it away. But it honestly does make a massive difference. Life comes in seasons. We all have priorities. So I had to prioritize my studies and put YouTube on the back burner. I was on winter break, and then I had more time for YouTube, and then I'm back now in school, and eventually, one day I'll be working. And then family life will start to get busier as, hopefully, I start a family of my own and stuff like that. The whole point is things are not always going to be the same. The thing remains though, is that I want to get into my career, because that's the phase that I'm in, and I want to build my career, but then I also want to build YouTube on the side. My priority is to make it through school. So that's where the majority of my time goes right now. That's where I'm in. That's the season that I'm in right now. So say when I'm prepping for an exam, I need even more time allotted to school relative to the other things that I'm doing in my life. When I'm not prepping for exams, I'm more free. When I'm going on campus, I have less time for YouTube that day. When I'm prepping for a project, some days I have less time. You get the idea, right? So as days change, as weeks change, your time allotment to your tasks will change on a daily basis, but your principle of priorities remains the same. And that is, I'm focusing mainly on getting into my career and working on YouTube as much as I can on the side to build that up alongside my career. So that's going to look different on a day-to-day basis based on my schedule, right? But the principle remains the same. But if I tell myself that I need to continue building it as a side project, that's YouTube, when I'm on a break, I don't have to stress about school. So now YouTube, in a sense, will become the focus because the time allotment based off of the principle will shift on to me doing way more YouTube because I don't have demands now from the other category, which is school. Then eventually it's going to switch back. So I need to find success in school so that I can enter my career. That's obvious. And for a lot of you guys, you're probably in the same shoes, or you're in the shoes of you're working and you want to build up a side business, but your main priority right now is to continue to be successful in your job so that you can provide on a daily basis and have money to live, basically, right? So yeah, basically what I just said, I need to find success in school so that I can enter my career. And now all of a sudden life is different. I'm working and YouTube can be focused on more now because I don't have to spend my spare time studying. I don't have to take home my work with me. I can just leave work at work. You have to be successful in one season to make it to the next one. So you got to prioritize throughout life. It sounds simple and full of common sense, but we have a tendency not to do this. Like I was saying before, we all know we need to prioritize and have common sense, but do we actually do that on a daily basis? And if we did, and we were doing all the things that we know about, how come we're not where we want to be? It clearly means that we either misunderstand what we actually need to do, or we're actually just not doing it. So if we can't do a lot, what's the point of doing it at all? That's the mentality you have to get away from. Only one video a week, every other week, what's that going to do? Again, mentality you have to get away from. It's moving the needle forward. You are getting better. I always like to say 0 added up as many times with 0 is still 0, but if you add up a small number many times, eventually it's going to be a big number. And I know that sounds stupid, or I know it sounds like cliche, not stupid, but it actually is true, guys, because a lot of the times in life you don't have a ton of time for everything, and you're going to have like upwards to sometimes 50% of your week being days where you can only give like minimal effort. Minimal effort being not a lot of time. Like the time that you spend on it could be like really focused, but you don't have a lot of time to spend on it. And if you were to actually just put in those days and realize how much of your life encompasses those kind of days, then you can make all those days count, and you can add up all those small numbers at the end of the year and have a massive, massive number and have had move forward your business or whatever you're trying to progress on so much more than not have doing it at all. Like we can't expect that our schedule is going to be the same all the time. So you better expect that some days you're only going to have 30 minutes to work on something. And if you're going to have 30 minutes, like I said, 50% of the time, you can add up all those days. It's really like it. I think the hardest part about it is to get set up and do what you have to do and have to close it up and pack up after 30 minutes. It's almost like you feel like it's so much effort to get set up, depending on what it is, obviously. You feel like it's so much effort to get set up to only like tear it down 30 minutes later. But you got an option, not progress or progress a little bit. And then progress a little bit turns out after a compounding amount of time into progressing a lot. So take your pick. You're going to improve in ways that you would otherwise not. You continue to build momentum, that's the big word here, momentum, and are able to create opportunities which you can tackle more fully when you have more time. So just a little bit of work that you start doing, you're going to unravel problems that you want to find solutions to, and then days that you have more time, you can tackle those problems. But if you didn't spend that little bit of time continuing to move the needle forward and working on that thing that you want to progress on, you would never unravel this, or like you would never realize that you had these problems that you now are working to find a solution towards. Literally, that's basically just it. Like, I got my priorities in order. Depending on how the day goes, I'll decide how to allot my time based on the principle of my what I'm trying to focus on, based off the priorities. Not every day is the same, like I said, but the principle remains the same. Small wins add up. Life is in seasons, from days to weeks to months. Time demands change. But your priorities can remain the same. Or sorry, when I said time demands change, I kind of said that the wrong way. What I was trying to say is time. I just lost the train of thought in my head there again. Oh, I got it. Your time demands will change. Basically, your priorities will change in a sense, or your time allotment will change. So your time demands and what's going to use up your time of the day will change depending on the day, depending on the week, depending on where you are in life, the season that you're in life. But your priorities can remain the same. In this case, until I'm done school, is focusing on school, then it's obviously shifted to focusing on my career. And that's what dictates my days. I also remove things that I don't need to be doing because they don't fit my priorities. And don't get me wrong, I still want to improve my relationships, stay fit, and have fun. But I'm talking about my focus for like 80% of the time and what I'm like really grinding towards in terms of like actively working on something. And then you got that 20% relax mode, and that's where you build up your relationships. That's where you work on your fitness, have fun and relax with people, whatever. Even that can fluctuate depending on what's going on in life. So you can have a season where you're grinding like 80% of the time, 20% relax, or even 90% and 10% relax, and then switch that over to like, I don't know, going for a vacation where it's basically like 100% relaxation or like a small percent working, whatever. Then you can have days where you show up and work, but you don't do nearly as much. So it's more of like a 50-50 day, you know? So whether it be one video a week or several or 1 in 2 weeks, as long as I'm keeping my priority of working on YouTube as a side, whatever becomes of that due to the other commitment of school and other things going on in my life, that is what will come of it. It's reinforcing also the small wins. By doing a little bit, I'm reinforcing that I'm staying true to my principle of YouTube being my side project and belief that small wins make huge changes over time as they compound. And that's because showing up for a little bit, I know that that counts. And showing up for a little bit, depending on the day, or a medium bit or a lot of bit, is staying true to my principle of YouTube right now in my life being a side project. Honestly, it's a great realization that small wins add up over time and create a huge change. I know it sounds cliche and I've said it a million times, but like I said, we a lot of the times know the truth. We just need to be reminded. And if you're reminded of something multiple times, it's gonna stick in your head and you're actually gonna be more likely to apply it. So it's good for me to repeat these things because honestly, it's really beneficial. And I'm trying to repeat it also in like a slightly different way. So you guys, if you didn't catch it the first time, you can understand it with a different explanation. If you wait for the perfect time, you will never get it done. You got to start, do what you can, and there will be days when you can do more, so just do that. And days that you don't want to do it either, and you got to kind of sometimes buckle down and just focus and just tackle the problem and just do it because you know that you have to. Like today, to be honest with you, like halfway through filming, like I filmed a few other videos today. I felt like filming those videos, but once I got to this one, I didn't feel like doing it nearly as much as when I first started. But here I am, chatting with you guys, because sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. It's not that I don't enjoy it. It's just that some days, based on like how tired you are, what you have going on, your emotions, your mood fluctuates. But you have to remember the long-term goal and remember what you're trying to stay focused on and what it is that you're focused on really. So for me, some days like today, like I said, even though I know I like this and I know that this is the ultimate goal, sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but those days, sometimes you just gotta force yourself to do it. You gotta start no matter what, guys, no matter what it is, you gotta do what you can. Just get started and just do what you can. And there will be days where you can do more, so just do that. I literally just said the same thing. I suggest creating a schedule that reflects your priorities. Plan out the chunk of times you plan for your priorities, and those time chunks should reflect your goals. If you're ahead in school, then you got extra time for other categories. If school gets busy, you readjust and maybe you have to spend less time on those other things and more time on school, obviously. But it doesn't mean that you just stop the other stuff completely. Maybe for that day, you can't spend any time working on a side project, but in the week, I'm sure you can find some time to work on it. At the very least, I would say even like 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what the side project is. You can probably still work on it a little bit, but if you can't some days, then for sure in at least a week, you should be able to work on this thing. Just keep going. Even if it's just a little bit of effort in a week, it still counts. Just trust me, this works. Don't just agree with it, try to actually do it. Consider thinking of your schedule in a weekly way instead of daily. Now, this has been a huge game changer for me. It's gonna make, it may look like you have no time for something, but maybe it's just some days that demand more of your time in a different aspect. And as a result, you really can't do that thing for the day, even for 20 or 30 minutes. Because let's say the thing that you need to do needs to be done for more than that, or there's some sort of physical restraint, physical limitation that's blocking you from being able to do what you want to do because you're, say, like out of town and you can't work on this thing because it requires you to be like in town or whatever. If you looked at your life in a daily sense, it would look like you can't do what you want to do with your side hustles, or say going out to hang out with people, whatever it is. But if you look at your life on a weekly basis, you know that you can do some of those things you want on a less busy day, and you know you'll have different days in those weeks where you can prioritize what you need to do and fit in things throughout the week. So you know there will be output for the week as opposed to wasting those days because you think you're so busy. Don't get sucked in after a busy day thinking you don't have time for building YouTube, for example. Not every day is going to be like that day, that busy day. So you just do the work when you have a lighter schedule. So again, that's going back to the weekly schedule. So if your Monday is super hectic, you can't expect that all your days are going to be like Monday. So don't get sucked into the mental thought that all of your days are like Monday. And since Monday was so busy and I couldn't work on YouTube, that I don't have any other days in the week where I can work on YouTube, because that's not true. At some point in the week, you're going to have a lighter demand and you're going to be able to work on something else that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to during the week, or let's say like on that Monday or whatever. Honestly, guys, it sounds simple, but it works. It makes sense when you look at your life in a weekly schedule. So I suggest doing that. I started doing that and it's made a big change in my life. And you also end up not wasting time, because I find sometimes you'll have busy days and you won't work on the thing because you don't have time, and that's fine, that's fair enough. But then the next day you'll be way less busy, and because you have that mentality of like, oh, I'm so busy and I don't have time to work on my side project because that day before you were so busy, you end up wasting like a whole day where you basically had nothing else to do, and you could have worked so much on that side project, or like at least half a day or something like that. So it's been a game changer for me, realizing that certain days I have so much time to work on what I want to work on and move the needle forward. So give that a try. It's made a big difference in my life, so it might make a big difference in yours. Yeah, guys, I'm putting this video out there to hold myself accountable, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys for sure in another Kenny's Raw Thoughts. Let me know if you guys like this without music in the background, or like a little bit of low volume music playing in the background. I'm not too sure. It's still pretty raw for the most part. This video is like unedited. It's all in one take for the most part. But if you guys prefer no background music, let me know. Or if it doesn't really matter, let me know too, because then I'll probably honestly throw in the music, because it kind of throws a little bit of I don't know, like mood. It changes the mood a little bit. I don't know if that's good or bad, to have it extra raw with no music, but anyways, maybe I'll do a mixture. So see you guys in the next one.